start.shop at 6 o'clock. Just to tell you what's happening in MMA, quickly, one major event which is happening day after tomorrow is our CFO conclave. And CFO conclave, CFO play a very, very pivotal role in the organization. We have got some outstanding CFOs to come and share content, including SA 600 amendments, what has been issued by NFRA. And it's a full day conclave from 9:30 to 5:30. We already have over 200 registrations for this conclave, full day conclave. It's live on things, not to worry if you're not registered, watch it live on all our social media channels, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also webinar. And you can also watch it on MMA radio live, you can hear it. This is a very, very important seminar, which in this, we are also launching MMA CFO Forum. The intention behind MMA CFO Forum is to give some best of the CFOs to come and share their thoughts with the financial professionals. So because the financial professionals today in every area make a very, very important role. So if we want to contribute our thing, that's the reason we are doing. And every bi-monthly we'll have some exclusive event for them so that which can be attended by everybody. That's the idea. Now, ladies and gentlemen, today is again a very, very important day for us because every year a lot of people eagerly look forward to this particular event. And we have a very, very personal, emotional attachment with Mr. R K Swamy. He was one of the past presidents. When I send the invite to the people from, there are a couple of our members staying in USA, a couple of members staying in other part of the world. They send me a very, very nice input about how their relationship was so great with Mr. R K Swamy, how humane he was, how considerate he was, and I was really indeed delighted that we are privileged to host this memorial lecture by Mr. R K Swamy Memorial Lecture. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an outstanding distinguished speakers for this evening, befitting the occasion, and it's very, very apt that we have a judge and the police chief. They are the law keepers for the evening, and they are the one who really take care of our thing. Like I always say that soldiers at the border make us sleep peacefully. Here, these are the two people who really make us live peacefully in an environment which are all very, very important. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got, as I mentioned, very, very outstanding people who are going to be talking to us this evening and sharing their perspective. Please put your hand together to welcome the distinguished chief guest for this evening, Hon'ble His Lordship Justice Balaji. Then we have Director General of Police, Mr. Shankar Jiwal, IPS. Mr. Srinivasan K. Swamy, past president of MMA and the convener and who has instituted this award. Then we have Mr. Lakshmi Narayan, who is the senior vice president of MMA. And Mr. Balasubramaniam, who is the president of Ad Club Madras. May I request the dignitaries to please take their place dais. Ramesh Narayan, Mr. Ramesh Narayan, founder of Canco Advertising, Mumbai. Ramesh Narayan. Thank you. As usual, all the viewers watching the program live, if you have any questions, the number on the screen, please send your questions. All your questions, the distinguished guest will address. We only tell you to refer the questions to only the topic what is being discussed because both the gentlemen were speaking this evening holding such a high post. I know you'll have a lot of questions which may not be relevant to this evening. We have got a team which is screening all the questions, and those screened questions will be placed before the distinguished chief guest and the guest of honor and others. Now, it's now my proud privilege to request Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan. He is the Senior Vice President of MMA and also Managing Director of Sundaram Home. And he's got over 30 years of experience in the field of finance. He heads Sundaram Home Finance, which is really transformed under his dynamic leadership. He has also done his MBA from Liba and also a cost accountant. I now request Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan to deliver the formal welcome address. Lakshmi.
Thank you, Group Captain. Good evening to all of you. It's indeed my pleasure and privilege to deliver this formal welcome address this evening at this very, very special event, the 6th RK Swami Memorial Lecture today. We are indeed privileged to institute and organize this annual memorial lecture in the name of late Sri R K Swami, the doyen of Indian advertising profession, to remind ourselves of the pioneering spirit and carry his legacy forward. It is my honor to welcome two luminaries this evening, Honorable His Lordship, Mr. Justice P.B. Balaji, Judge Madras High Court, and Mr. Shankar Jiwal, IPS, Director General of Police, and Head of Police Force for Tamil Nadu. It's a very proud moment for the members of MMA who would recollect the enormous contribution of Mr. RK Swami in the progress and growth of MMA and to what it is today, particularly his active involvement, guidance and support during his tenure as the president of MMA between 1972 and 74. If MMA has transformed today itself to a largest management association in the country and bestowed the honor of having won the best management association for 14 years in a row. A great deal of this achievement is rightly attributable to the vision, thought, and the initiatives of many luminaries, among whom Mr. RK Swami was the foremost. MMA has a membership base of over 8,000 members spread across corporate houses, individuals, academicians, and students, and conducts more than 750 programs annually. All this support wouldn't have been possible without the constant guidance and support of our past presidents, including Mr. R K Swamy, with whom I am privileged to share the dais this evening. This MMA Management Center, which we are all so proud of, couldn't have come up without the guidance and generous contribution and support of Mr. R K Swamy, who was then the chairman of the fundraising committee for raising this MMA Management Center, which today is a monument of sorts for the management fraternity. We are here today thanks to you, sir. It's a blockbuster Thursday for us today. Firstly, the RK Swami Memorial Lecture on the theme Wills, Settlement and Nominations by Honorable Justice Mr. P.B. Balaji, followed by a special address by Mr. Shankar Jiwal, IPS, DGP Tamil Nadu, on the theme Creative Policing with the Aid of Technology. Judiciary and policing complement each other in many ways, and we at MMA today are fortunate to have them amongst us here. Wills, settlement and nominations ensure smooth asset transfer, prevent disputes and honor elders' wishes, avoiding litigation and misallocation of resources due to lack of awareness. As regards the second theme this evening, creative policing, leveraging technology like AI, drones, and predictive tools to enhance crime prevention, detection, and transparency while balancing privacy and legal oversight. We are eager to hear more about these themes chosen this evening by distinguished speakers who are accomplished leaders in their own right and experts in their domains. I'm glad that this annual endowment lecture in the memory of Mr. RK Swamy has evolved into a great knowledge-sharing platform, taking his legacy to the next generation of management professionals. I take this opportunity to welcome the past presidents of MMA, my colleagues from the management committee, and members of MMA, members of the Advertising Club of Madras, distinguished invitees and guests, both who are watching the program in person here and online. Wish you all a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan. And now it's my proud privilege to request Mr. Sri R K Swamy, past president of MMA and executive group chairman of RK Swami ANSA. And what to say about Mr. Sri R K Swamy? He is our mentor, guide, philosopher, friend. And when we built the thing, he was a part of the building committee fund. Nobody can raise funds other than Mr. Swamy. So everybody decided we should have only Mr. Swamy to be part of us. And he really helped us great deal today. What you see today is the labor of love and support what is being given by Mr. Swamy. Let me also briefly introduce him. He's the executive chairman of RK Swami Limited, and prominent leader in the advertising and research industry. He serves on the board of multiple organizations, including Ad Agencies Association of India, ANSA Research Group, and alumnus of University of Madras, JBIMS, and is also former chairman of Advertising Standards Council of India. I now request Mr. Swamy to deliver the introductory remark. Mr. Swamy.
Good evening. Honorable Justice Mr. P.B. Balaji, Mr. Shankar Jiwal, Mr. Ramesh Narayan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This annual lecture has certainly been an important one for the family. 6 years ago, we decided to do this. During the COVID days also, thanks to MMA support we had at the annual lectures. It's been going on well. And today we're very, very privileged that we have two very distinguished speakers to talk to us. Now, only unhappiness is arising of the weather, which kept many people away. But equally, I'm happy that I have friends who are coming from Delhi, from Bombay, from Hyderabad to be part of this evening. So I think I'm grateful to some of those friends who have been here, who have taken the trouble to come here all the way. You know, Vijay said lots of things, forget all that he said. He's a nice man, he got kind words for me. The fact of the matter is, RK Swami, when he was president of MMA, I think it was during the year 1972-73, or 72 years, I think he was president, 72-74. He did make a difference. He brought in for the first time an All India Management Association conference to Chennai, and he and M.K. Raju conducted that with total learning. And established in the minds of people that MMA is an important association in the All India sphere that can make a big difference. As you all know, he was born to very, very humble background. At the age of 7, his family had to move, whereas his parents and 7 children had to move to Bombay to eke out a living. He was a self-made man. Whatever he did out of his own, self-learning. At the age of 17, he had to learn sonography in 15 days to start the job because his family needed that money. And from there on, there's no looking back for this young man. Okay. I can go on for 5 minutes. I do have a 5-minute speech that I've been told that I can use, but I decided to show my respects to my sister-in-law, who's produced a film for 3 minutes on what RK Swami is today, and the seeds that RK Swami sowed in 1973, how it has blossomed into a large magnum tree. I'd like the film to be run now. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's really, really impressive. And many of you would have known about RK Swami, what a great organization, and how privileged MMA today to host memorial lecture in terms of the founder. We are singularly honored and privileged. Now it's my proud privilege. I'm going to request Mr. Ramesh Narayan, founder Canco Advertising Mumbai, who's closely worked with Mr. RK Swami. He's going to share his recollection of impression with Mr. Sri R K Swami. Can I have the area of Mr. Ramesh Narayan, please?
Mr. Ramesh Narayan is the Director of Strategy at the Asian Federation of Advertising Associations, AFA, and a pioneer in marketing sustainability. Honored by EarthDay.org in 2024, he has received numerous AFA accolades, including the Lifetime Honorary Member Award in 2023 and induction into the AFA Hall of Fame in 2021. Mr. Ramesh, a former president of the India chapter of the International Advertising Association, IAA, he has earned global recognition, including the IAA Lifetime Compass Award. Mr. Ramesh is also a philanthropist, known for launching impactful initiatives for underprivileged communities and rural development.
Gentlemen, my proud privilege to request Mr. Ramesh Narayan to share recollected impressions of Mr. R K Swami. Mr. Ramesh.
Thank you so much. Namaskaram, everybody. It is indeed an honor to be here and amongst all these people here, and to be able to share my impressions about a man who, in his own rights, is a great legend. I will try to do it, of course, but it's like that little, doll, made out of salt, going out to actually, measure the entire ocean. So, let me start by saying that I am in awe of this man, okay? I admire a man who is able to leave an excellent job. He is liked in that job. He is doing so well in that job. And he leaves that job and says that I would like to start something on my own. Entrepreneurs, I think, are a breed apart. And he was one, actually, quintessentially. Number two is, more than that, he has been able to leave an MNC, and I'm saying this because I wear India on my sleeve, and to start a homegrown Indian agency that was to, in time, grow into one of the largest integrated Marcom organizations that you had a look at. I was told, of course, and I knew about it even then in the 80s, that he was amongst the earliest people to actually court PSU accounts, public sector accounts. Now, this was the time when the large MNC agencies would not go anywhere near them. Now, to me, it shows actually two things. A is, here is a man who could actually sense an opportunity that others had not been able to sense at that time. And B, here is a man who had great faith in the entire India story, even then. Now, I too had just actually started my agency in the mid-80s, and I was also trying for some of these PSUs. And here is where I actually saw the great man himself for the first time. So ONGC had actually called for a pitch, and lot of agencies were there in that hall. One herd of agencies was there, and I was there as well. And the lady who was handling that, was in a hurry, and she was saying, hurry up, next, this, that, and all that. So when my turn came and our agency was asked to go in, I hurried up there. I was a little kind of tense and all that, and I had the slide tray with me. Those were days when AI meant Air India. Okay. It's not all the things that we now hear about. So I jumped up from the chair and I hurried in, and all the slides fell down. So I was absolutely flummoxed, because to put them back in the right order, this, that, and all, it will take time. And the lady was in a hurry. And an executive was there who was herding me in. At this moment, RK Swami came up and he said, take your time. Don't get nervous by all these things. Okay, take your time. So I said, but he's saying come fast. So he said, wait. And he walked up to that man. He obviously knew the man well, because he was already handling the account, ONGC, and he was up for re-empanelment. He spoke to him and said that, look, I'll go now. He can come next. So that man said, okay. So I was able to get another 15 minutes to slowly collect the slides and my wits. And this story, of course, had a nice happy ending, because both RK Swami and our agency got empaneled. However, to me, it also showed that here is a man whom all of us knew was extremely, competitive, at the same time was also kind. And, he felt there is this youngster here, raw fellow, let's not, rock the boat even more for him. And my respect for him, grew a lot more. After that, of course, I used to hear in industry circles that he's extremely strict, and he is a little legalistic and very tough and all that. I realized that he was all of these things when he was arguing the advertising agency industries part of the story. And I had heard this story from other parts of our industry, not the advertising agency part of our industry. So he was a man who was keen to have the industry's interest in his mind, uppermost in his mind. Now, apart from all this, I think, at a more personal level, I was impressed when I heard that he gave equal importance to education to the boys and the girls in the family, at a time when it was not as, I think, common as it is now today maybe. Even more impressive is the fact that while he was on a trail of building this huge enterprise, he somehow had the time for a host of other things, whether it was social work, educational institutions, medical institutions, religious institutions, rebuilding or restoring shrines. He had the time for all of these things, and in all of these things he was able to actually do it well. So when I said perfectionist sometime back on another note to his son, but here is the real word, I think, perfectionist fits the bill. Of course, I am glad that after, at the end of the day, how is a man actually, measured? I believe it is, mostly by the entire legacy that he is able to leave behind. And RK Swami has been able to leave behind a rich legacy. And everything about the things that he had done were only expanded upon, grown, and have done so well. At the end of this, I must say, if you noticed, I never, used the term late RK Swami. Because I have always felt that to live in the hearts that we leave behind is not to die. And RK Swami lives in our hearts, in our minds, in the organization which he has been able to establish, in the schools, hospitals, and the future of all the kids who are being helped even now, the religious institutions, and all that. And all that, I think we all owe him a great, debt. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh, for sharing your impressions. RK Swami, very inspiring. Now we are come to the most awaited moment, our chief guest lecture on Succession Planning, Myths, Reality, Secrets, with specific reference to wills, settlement, and nominations. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hand together. Welcome to deliver the memorial lecture, Honorable Lordship Justice Mr. Balaji. And may I have a
Honorable Mr. Justice P. B. Balaji is a distinguished judge of the Madras High Court, appointed on February 7, 2023, and sworn in as permanent judge on September 24, 2024. Educated at Padma Sheshodri, Chennai, and Madras Law College, Justice Balaji honed his legal skills under the mentorship of his father, renowned civil lawyer Mr. P. B. Ramanujam. Known for his meticulous preparation and persuasive advocacy, Justice Balaji's career reflects excellence in legal practice and judicial service. His appointment to the Honorable First Bench highlights his significant contributions to the judiciary.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my proud privilege to present to you Justice Balaji to deliver the 6th RK Swami Memorial Lecture. Justice Balaji.
Very happy evening to all the distinguished guests, respected Sri Shankar Jiwal ji, the family and friends of legendary and visionary Sri R K Swamy, members of MMA who are present here, ladies and gentlemen. Mrs. Srinivasan Swamy gave me the invite. On going through the invite, I found a very strange, interesting coincidence. The invitation talked about journey of Sri R K Swamy. He was born in 1922. He started RK Swami Advertisement in 1973 at the age of 51. I was born in 1973. And today I am 51 years old. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. Probably it's just destined to be that way. At the age of 51, he started RK Swami Advertisement, and I am here at the age of 51 to deliver the memorial lecture. Be that as it may, the topic which I am going to address is actually a very serious topic, which is very important for each one of us. But at the same time, especially when it comes to wills, it also gives rise to a lot of funny anecdotes. Because when people and property come together, there's bound to be drama, comedy, and tragedy. All of us will like our properties after us to go in a particular fashion. Of course, there may be exceptions. Some of you here may think, I don't want to plan anything. So this one is for you, the shortest will ever. A very rich man who lived a very king-size lifestyle, but very private lifestyle, called his lawyer and gave him a sealed cover and said, this is my last will. I want you to read it only after my demise. Don't reveal it to anybody when I'm alive. So the lawyer took it, and after a few months, the rich man passed away, and all his relatives and friends assembled, eager to know what was there in the will, whether they are going to be benefited by the will. So the lawyer opened the cover and read out the will. That old man, the rich man, had said, I was wise, I spent all my money. So this is for people who don't want to plan anything. You enjoy life, spend whatever you earn. But probably the majority of you want to leave something behind for your family, for your well-wishers, or probably do charity also. So wills, I'll probably distribute the topics into three. First, wills, settlements, then I'll go to nominations. First, let us deal with wills. So as you all know, will is a document which expresses your last wish. The manner in which you want your properties to go, be it movable or immovable, after your lifetime. It is very simple to draft a will. Of course, it is always better to consult a professional lawyer. They call it DIY. Do it yourself, DIY. So will is something like a DIY. You can draft your own will, very simple, which I'll give you inputs. But better get it vetted by a lawyer, because spending a few thousands now will save you lakhs of rupees in litigation later. So you'll have to consult a lawyer and vet your will. See, will as opposed to a settlement deed, is not a transfer of property. It is only a document by which title is devolved on the beneficiaries under the will. Therefore, it will not come under the definition transfer of property. Will is very simple. There is no particular form for writing a will. There is no language that, like any legal document, suppose you want a sale deed, it has a particular format you have to follow. Nothing of that is required when you want to draft your will. You just express your wish. It can be on a plain half sheet of paper. It can be on a page in a diary. It can be on a stamp paper. It can be on the cover of a book. The requirements of a will, which I will take you a little later. So the simplicity is the prime advantage of a will. The will need not be registered. A lot of misconception that will should be registered, not necessary. The will still has equal effect even if it is unregistered. So that is the biggest advantage. With the comfort of your home, you can write your will. The other advantage is you continue to keep control of your assets. The will takes effect the moment you die, the maker dies. Therefore, that is the biggest advantage over a settlement deed. In a will, you continue to control what assets, you can even sell the assets. Even though you have written a will saying that my property should go to my children, you are still entitled to sell that property during your lifetime. Just because you have written a will, your right does not go away, it's not taken away. So that is one big advantage. When there are specific bequests you want to make, you can write a will. But first question is, when do I write a will? Should I write a will is probably the biggest question which comes to us first. Yes, you will have to write a will if you want to alter the line of succession. So I'll give you an example. There is a happy family. Man married happily to his wife. They have a son and a daughter. The man owns a 3-bedroom flat in, say, Senate Off Road. He wants his wife and children to take the property equally. So there is no necessity for that person to execute a will because he wants to write a will which is in line with the line of law of succession. So therefore, there is no necessity to write a will. But suppose the same person wants to give the property only to the daughter and not the wife and the son, then he has to write a will because he wants to alter the regular line of succession. We are governed by the Hindu law, the Indian Succession Act for Christians, Hindu laws for Hindus, and the customary law for Muslims. Therefore, if you want to alter the law of succession, definitely I would advise you will have to write a will. The second point is, suppose you have multiple properties. You want to give clarity to your family legal heirs, saying that property A will go to my wife, property B will go to my son, jewelry I leave behind will go to my daughter, then you should write a will. Because when you leave behind the entire estate, the family may not have a direction to how to distribute the properties. Therefore, in such circumstances, you can write a will. But if you don't want to alter the line of succession, then you need not write a will because automatically it is going to be taken that way. The execution part of a will is the most important limb of wills. Because, as I said, wills need not be registered. It can be on any piece of paper, even on stamp paper, but there is no requirement that it should be on stamp paper. Minimum of 2 witnesses. This is the most important part of the execution of a will. Minimum of 2 witnesses will have to attest your signature. It can be written in your own handwriting. It's called a holograph will. It can be typed by somebody. You can sign at the bottom. But if there are corrections, please make an initial across the corrections to avoid any future complications. So date of execution is very important. Place of execution is very important because in 3 presidency towns, probate of the will is compulsory even today. The presidency courts of Madras, Bombay and Calcutta, if the wills are executed within the jurisdiction of these 3 courts, then the will have to be necessarily probated before the High Court or the District Court. If it is outside, it is not necessary. But suppose you write a will in Bangalore, but the property you bequeath under the will is in Chennai, then you will have to probate the will. So there are twin conditions. Either the property is within the 3 presidency towns of Madras, Bombay and Calcutta, or the will itself is executed within these 3 presidency towns. So these are the twin conditions where probate will be required. So therefore you can make a will which has a lot of clarity and you spread out the reasons why you choose somebody over somebody. So normally the will, because the problem is today there is a lot of litigation in so far as wills is concerned. There is no necessity that you should state reasons. There are wills which are one sentences, two sentences. In fact, one man called his wife and said, the advocate and said, I want all my property, everything to go to my wife. The lawyer dutifully wrote a very short will, described the family, and he said, everything should go to my wife. But son was very clever. He went to a seasoned property lawyer and he said, by everything he meant only the belongings in the house, not the bank assets, bank balances. Will was contested, litigation went on for years. So therefore, you must make very clear that what you want to bequeath under the will. It can be both your movable properties, immovable properties. You can choose to bequeath only a portion of your estate. One portion you may want it to go as per the regular law of succession. You need not include it in the will. There is no compulsion that you will have to include all your assets. Suppose you want to give one particular property to your son. For that property alone, you can write a will. Leave the law of succession to take its regular course insofar as the other properties are concerned. So these are very important. Coming to execution, two witnesses will have to see you sign the will. Because they are going to, the man who wrote the will is not going to be alive. Tomorrow the will is challenged in the court. The witness's role is most crucial. Therefore, two witnesses, choice of witnesses is very important. You will have to choose. I see a lot of people who come to me when I was a lawyer, they are my best friends, I've known them for 60 years. I want them to witness the will. It is not a good suggestion to have very old people sign the will, because they may pass away even before the maker of the will. Therefore, choose young witnesses who will be around for, say, after 20 years, 30 years to speak about the due execution of the will. So that choice of the attesting witness is very important. Then, as I said, first you sign the will, then the two witnesses sign in the presence of the testator. This is the requirement of the law. So the will is signed by the testator in the presence of two witnesses who sign in the presence of the testator. There may be cases where you have only one witness. You may ask me, is it possible to write a will? It is possible. The will is signed in the presence of just one witness. Then that witness goes. Tomorrow, the executant calls another person and says, see here, this is my last will. I've already executed yesterday in the presence of Mr. X. I want you to attest as the second attesting witness. Law permits this. Therefore, each of the witnesses should sign in the presence of the maker, who is called the testator. So that is very important. Not necessary that both the attesting witnesses should be there at the same time. So this is one factor you can remember. But ideally, it is always better to have two witnesses who are known to you, should not be strangers. We lawyers find a lot of difficulties where wills are registered in the sub-registrar's office. There are witnesses who are stock witnesses. Somebody who works there as a drafting person or an office boy, they are called to witness. But when the will is challenged in the court and evidence is required, say after a decade, persons are not able to find out the whereabouts of the attesting witnesses. So they must be known to you and preferably of young age. Next question that may crop up, whether a beneficiary can be an attesting witness. Ideally, there is no bar except insofar as Indian Christians. Under the Indian Succession Act, there is a prohibition for a beneficiary to be a witness, an attesting witness to a will, only insofar as Indian Christians. Insofar as Hindus, Buddhists, Sikhs, Jains, there is no prohibition. But my suggestion, always better not to have the beneficiary attest the will, because tomorrow that is going to be one of the grounds on which challenge is going to be made, saying that he had played an active role in bringing about the will. Therefore, avoid beneficiary being one of the attesting witnesses, though there is no bar. Any person who is over 18 years is entitled to make a will. Even an unsound person of unsound mind, when he is of sound mind, the period when he is of sound mind, can execute a will. A blind person can execute a will. Deaf person can execute a will. Therefore, there is no bar. Proof of will is most important. Therefore, the only persons who are going to speak about the will are the attesting witnesses. So choose them wisely. Then registration. I said registration is not compulsory. Courts have time and again said, right from the 1950s, Supreme Court has said, High Courts have said, registration does not confer any special status on a will, because it still has to be proved by examining one of the at least one of the attesting witnesses to requirements that he saw the testator sign. He signed in the presence of the other attesting witness. Witnesses signed in the presence of the testator. This is the requirement of law to prove a will. Unlike any other document, suppose a sale deed is executed, you need not examine the attesting witness to prove a sale deed. But whereas for a will, you will certainly have to examine one of the attesting witnesses to prove the will. So therefore, make it very sure that the witnesses are known to you and they are around, they will be around for in case of any matter going to court and evidence being required. Registration is not compulsory, but the only advantage of registration will be, suppose the will is lost, you can get a certified copy. That is the only advantage. Suppose there is an unregistered will. The second son knows I am not a beneficiary. He may tear it up. He may destroy the will. The wishes of the maker go unfulfilled. Therefore, it is very important that the will is made available for the wishes to take effect. So therefore, this aspect, registration, is probably advised. The other disadvantage of registration is, suppose you register the will. Tomorrow you change your mind. You want to write another will. You are already 80 plus. You are unable to go to the sub-registrar's office. And that again creates a doubt or a suspicion that why the original will was registered, first will was registered, why not the second will? Second will was not is unregistered. So to avoid that, preferable to register the second will also. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of registration of a will. But courts have repeatedly said, just because a will is registered, we will not accept it. You still have to prove it in a manner known to law. Then insofar as Hindus and Christians, there is no bar, the entire estate can be willed. But when it comes to Muslims, as per their customary law, they can't write a will in excess of 1/3 of their property. So you can limit your will only to 1/3, but you can gift it by way of hiba, even an oral gift, or a settlement deed to your near and dear. But if you want to write a will, there is a restriction that it cannot exceed 1/3 of your property. So these are the facets of a will. It's very easy. You just write what you want, get it vetted by a lawyer. Today, even AI is going to help you. But the AI will not give you a human approach. It may throw up very complicated propositions which cannot be practically workable. So you still better, I think, go back to your family lawyer or a good property lawyer who can advise you on writing a valid legal will. Coming to settlements. Settlements, as I already said, is a transfer of property. It is between two living persons. So when do I settle? When do I write a will? Suppose man is completely satisfied. I've lived my life. I don't want to hold on to any more property. I want to give it to my children even during my lifetime. Then you can choose to execute a settlement deed. So settlement deed, the tenor of a settlement deed is that, the effect of a settlement deed is that the title gets transferred the moment the settlement deed is executed and registered, unlike a will. The will gives you a lot of flexibility. You can tomorrow choose to cancel that will, execute another will. The last will prevail. That is why we call it last will and testament. The last will prevail. Suppose there is contradiction in the earlier part of the will, later part of the will, later part will prevail. Suppose in the earlier part you say, I give all my property to my wife. But towards the end you say, no, I want all my properties to be taken by my children. So bequest to the wife will go. Because the last intention was to give it to the children. But unlike in a will, in a settlement deed, the first part will prevail. The later part will not prevail. So you suppose there is a contradiction in a settlement deed. First you say, I give life interest to my wife. Thereafter the property should go to my children. But later on it goes absolutely to the children. The wife's life interest will subsist. It will bind the children. Because the first part, the moment you declare in a settlement deed, it takes effect. It is not like a will where the later will prevails. Therefore this you will have to be careful. Settlement deed, as I said, it is not revocable, unlike a will. That is one disadvantage. Suppose you settle it saying that your children will take care of me in the last evening of my life, but tomorrow they throw you out of the house. This is happening. Very, very hard fact, but it is happening. In such cases, there is a provision where you can still retain a little control over the asset, saying that, yes, I transfer title today by way of a settlement deed, but my wife and myself will have a right to reside in the property, or suppose the property is rented out, right of rental income can be retained. But you cannot retain a right to alienate or encumber the property. Then it becomes a will. So that is the difference between a settlement and a will. So condition can be very limited. And courts are also taking divergent views. There is some courts say you cannot impose conditions. Settlement has to be accepted as it is. It can't be a conditional settlement. Some courts have said, especially after the Senior Citizens Act has come into force, you can impose conditions saying that my children should pay me 20,000 rupees a month subject to that condition, I am settling the property. That condition can be enforced. Some judges have taken that view. Supreme Court has taken a different view. The law is not yet fully settled on this issue. So therefore, you now have a choice. You know what a will is about, what a settlement is about. You need not do a settlement deed in case you want to retain control and have flexibility. There is a document called a codicil. See, suppose in a will, you want a minor tweak or change to be done. You need not redo the entire exercise of writing the will. Suppose I have named my niece as the executrix of the will. You can name a person who will be in charge of your estate. He is called the executor. The person who writes the will is the testator or the testatrix or the executant. But you name an executor or multiple executors who will be in charge of your assets on the moment you pass away. They will take control, ensure that your wishes are fulfilled. So that it is always better to appoint an executor. So that person with whom you have confidence, you can appoint, so that it ensures that the will take effect and will be given effect to. So therefore the executor will take control of the assets. They will distribute the assets as per the will. It is easier when you go to probate also. Suppose the will does not have an executor. Still the will can be administered. It is called letters of administration. You will not be given a probate. The High Court or District Court will grant you a letters of administration. Only a beneficiary can approach the court for letters of administration. Whereas executor can be even a friend, a neighbor, or your colleague, anybody whom you trust, you can name them executor. Executor can be the beneficiary also. There is no impediment for the executor not being a beneficiary. He can be the full beneficiary. And you can still make him the executor. So executor will file a petition in the court for probate. You get in the presence of the legal heirs, prove the will by examining the attesting witnesses. You will get probate. Outside these presidency terms, probate is not compulsory. Even today, suppose property is in Delhi or Bombay, will is written in Delhi or Bombay, then probate is not required. So therefore, and coming to codicil, suppose I have named Mr. Narasimhan Swamy as the executor of my will. Tomorrow he goes and settles down in US. So I can't expect him to come to Madras, stay here for 6 months, probate. So therefore I can change the executor, for which I need not rewrite my entire will. I write a document called a codicil and says on so and so date, I have executed my last will and testament. Because of so and so reasons, I am necessitated to change the executor from Mr. Narasimhan Swamy to Srinivasan Swamy. That can be done by way of a codicil. But codicil again, execution is like a will. It will have to necessarily have two witnesses, and it has to be executed in the same manner in which the will is executed. So this is a document called codicil, which many of us may not be aware. This is so far as wills and settlements. Then nominations. Nominations is probably most misconstrued procedure, an illusory. What can I say? People think the nominee becomes the owner, which is not true. Even in 1984, the Hon'ble Supreme Court settled the law saying the nominee is only a trustee for the legal heirs. Just because you are nominated, you do not become the owner of the assets. In fact, when I was sitting in the division bench, one case came up before us where the brother-in-law was appointed as the nominee. Wife and daughter were the legal heirs who would otherwise get the property, the bank deposits and bank balance. So this brother-in-law said, no, I have been nominated. I have been his favorite brother-in-law. Therefore, he has given me nomination, therefore property should come to me. Matter went to the writ court because the bank said, you get a court order, we are not going to release because there is an objection by the legal heirs. Otherwise, it will be paid to the nominee. But when there is an objection, matter went before the single judge. Single judge said, you are not entitled, you are only a nominee. Then it came up before us, before the division bench. And the same argument was put forth saying I was his favorite person. And there was a will executed by the deceased person giving the property to the daughter. We said, you are not named in the will. You are not a class 1 direct legal heir. You are only a nominee. So in a lighter vein, I told him, you are only given the ATM pin, not the balance. So that is the status of a nominee. Like recently, about 10 days back, the Lok Sabha has passed the amendment bill to the banking amendment bill, I think 3rd of December, where now it is permissible to have 4 nominees. Can be simultaneous or successive. So till now, so far as your bank accounts or bank balances, you can have only a 1 nominee for insurance policy. Now it is expanded to 4. So you can say it is simultaneous or successive. But insofar as bank lockers, it is going to be only successive. But still the position, even after the amendment, does not change that nominees will be only trustees. It's like a postman. You collect, distribute it as per. The nominee may be one of the beneficiaries, but he cannot say, I will take away the entire assets or estate because I'm a nominee. So this is with regard to nominations. I may have given you a few amusing anecdotes, but the entire process of doing these documents is to achieve an end, specific ends. So these are means, wonderful means to specific ends, provided it is done carefully and with proper planning. My experience as a judge in the last 22 months, I have seen property disputes not bring out the best among the litigants. In fact, brings out the worst in the litigants. So I feel laws can also be used as a preventive measure, not only for resolving disputes. So if you are going to take proper advice and do some little planning, you can certainly avoid all these litigation. The greatest charm of doing proper estate planning is that it brings eternal peace to your family members. It gives you a sense, it gives them a sense of direction. Because it is your property, you are the maker. Nobody can question your decision to give it to X, Y, Z. But ultimately they know that there is a clarity, there is a sense of direction that your will or a settlement provides, a nomination provides. Therefore, if it's used carefully, I think there's no problem. If you don't want peace, at least leave some fees for your lawyer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a great insight. I think I want to also share another very, very happy news. Gukesh's will to become a world champion. He just won the world chess championship. It's, I think, what a right occasion for me to announce that. Now it's my proud privilege to request Shankar Jiwal, IPS, Director General of Police, Head of Police Force, Tamil Nadu, to share his insights on creative policing with aid of technology. Please.
Mr. Shankar Jiwal, IPS, a 1990 batch officer of the Tamil Nadu cadre, hails from Almora, Uttarakhand. With a strong educational foundation, including a BE in Mechanical Engineering, PGDM in Management, and an MS by Research, Mr. Shankar has dedicated over 3 decades to law enforcement. Starting as an assistant superintendent of police in 1993, he rose through the ranks, serving as IGP for Intelligence, Special Task Force, and Internal Security, before being appointed Commissioner of Police for Greater Chennai in 2021. In 2023, Mr. Shankar was elevated to Director General of Police and Head of Police Force for Tamil Nadu.
Thank you. I now present to Mr. Shankar Jiwal to deliver the lecture.
Honorable Justice through P.B. Balaji, through RK Swamy here, through Ramesh Narayan, others on the dais, and friends assembled here. So, creative policing with the aid of technology and basically AI. So I first of all don't think that human beings are still capable of creating. And the creating aspect should be left to somebody who is superior and better than us. So I will say innovative policing rather. But still the word create from Sanskrit comes from kriya or something to do. So from that part may be relevant still. As far as the artificial intelligence is concerned, intelligence cannot be artificial to start with. That's very demeaning to that. I think they should change it to alternate or augment something. The entire acronym of AI, because artificial is like demeaning to the word intelligence itself. But still, just to start with, I thought I'll wake you up a bit. So, there are two ways I go about. One is that I tell you about what is being done, but nobody believes police. So I don't know how much really you will be with me on that. Second way is that I leave it to you to, because everybody in some way, mostly by hearsay or third party experience, knows about police. First hand experience of police is rarely with people generally. That's the survey says so. But still, I will leave it to you that if you would like to ask me any pinpointed or specific query on as to how, which part of policing, like you feel that, how do you bring in technology in the registration of cases or solving issues, then maybe I'll be able to engage you better, I believe. So, with the way you feel that technology is not being used and you have an idea that in the field of policing, whichever way you understand, the way it can be used, then we will, I can tell you that the path we have traveled so far in Tamil Nadu, and also what do we propose to do. So let us see if you have any ideas or any posers on this I can build upon on that. I won't keep you engaged more than 15 minutes. So anybody has anything on this? You're welcome. This is a very erudite group, I believe. Yeah, anything. But yeah, okay, no problem.
Police is able to track his movements as if it's, their live telecast is going on. They say this CCTV, that CCTV, and then location is shared. Is it so specific that you can actually trace a criminal to the nearest, foot or 10 feet? Because that's what we see in the movies. Is that kind of technology really available to the Chennai police? I mean.
Yeah, movies exaggerate a bit. It's not that, we are not that smart because you don't pay us that much. But the point is that to a great extent, see, they also pick the ideas from somewhere. Then they embellish it. Like, I think the people here, like even we are today with the some doyens of the advertising, so they embellish them. But the idea has to be picked up from daily life. Two reasons for that. Then the audience can relate to it a bit, and then audience can be in awe. That's why how the movies try to build it up. But yes, today's technology, earlier, the only principle on which we worked was a scene of crime concept. So any crime has to have a place. We used to call it scene of crime. And there used to be the victim, if it is so, or complainant, and the accused or suspect. Both have to be present there. And the evidence we build upon is called as Locardo's principle of exchange. There has to be something exchanged between them, whether it's brought as scientific evidence like footprint, fingerprint, voice print, some photo. Now, that has been greatly, we are being greatly helped by digital footprint now. I can tell you that anybody who is on Google, basically, your entire life is profiled. Because when you wake up, I can see it from the activity on your phone, when you wake up. Not only phone calls, but even social media and all that. When you are most active, when you sleep, in daytime, if you take a snooze, I will know that. You will nobody ever know that. I know that every day between 2:30 to 3:30, your phone is inactive. Means you take a snooze every day. So digital footprint is something which has changed the entire scenario. And based on that, yes, actually, a person may not know about himself that much, but investigating agency can fathom or find about him. But it is not on day-to-day policing. Day-to-day policing is still restricted to mostly the routine things, but where we have very specific things. For example, the agencies like NIA, where the cases of terrorism, etc. have come up. There it is true that we are able to do a very fine detailing and footprinting of the criminals. And even to the extent that going back in history, like earlier we didn't have this facility like. But I can go back in the history of a person 1 or 2 years to see what he's saying tallies or not. Was he at this place or not? Did he meet him or not? All those can be tallied. So if you have seen the Minority Report, that movie, it's almost like it's going to happen to that extent, only because of digital footprint. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. You said about you are not smart, but you can be smart. The thing is that your criminal justice system revolves over the mens rea. So more than the advanced technology, good that sympathetic psychiatrist can get more information about the accused or whatever. I think that in India, very rarely this psychiatrist help is being sought to even it begins with questioning. You people, you just still use the medieval techniques, especially in India. So we have to move again. We have to move away from this kind of manual torture to medical law. You could always, before sentencing or not before sentencing, before interviewing a suspect, if you bring a qualified psychiatrist, that will help a lot for you and for the community and for the judicial system to go further. This is what we think. Your comment? Yeah.
First of all, I will issue a disclaimer, we don't torture people. But anyway, this aspect is there because, yes, the mens rea and the actus rea, two parts are there which have to be matched for a crime to be sort of said to be done. Though mens rea in some cases is not so burden of proof remains. For example, in drug offenses and all, the burden of proof largely remains, but still mens rea is an important aspect. For general public, mens rea basically means the intent to do a crime. And actus rea is the actual act of doing a crime. So, yes, this aspect as far as the technology or advances are concerned in policing has not been much explored. We have not brought in the help of psychologists, I will say, apart from psychiatrists, if you say, but psychologists basically and psychoanalysts. Because Reader Digest, if you read Reader Digest of 20 years back, they have a psychiatrist definition is different, psychoanalysis is different, psychologist is different. So, the psychologist and psychoanalyst, these two category of people have not been utilized by police department so much. But now we are trying to bring them in. I'll give you an example of this. This particular, for example, the de-radicalization, the aspect of de-radicalization, which may be towards an extremism. There we are trying to take advantage of these people. And there have been some progress has been made also. But there's another aspect to this as to how much the Evidence Act, because is a psychiatrist or somebody's expert, treated as expert in this or not, has to be seen. So the Evidence Act so far does not provide for the psychiatrist to be expert by definition as such. You can always bring in, but not to the category of general forensics. However, I think that is one field which will progress in due course of time, because now we are stressing a lot on crime against children also. Children are basically become criminals also, and also being victims of crime, large number. For example, if you take the statistics, almost about 17 to 18% offenders are juvenile today, compared to about 2% about 10 years back. So this is an aspect where we can definitely explore and utilize them a lot, and there is a deficiency as of now, but the efforts are being made.
Good evening, sir. We keep hearing about this a bug is being planted in the culprit's body, and the police is using this technology to track the culprit wherever he goes. Is it possible? Is it really true? Is it being used by the Indian police? Is it possible to implant something into someone's body and then so that keep track of him wherever he goes, the police are able to capture? Is that true?
So the GPS anklets or GPS wristbands are being used by some countries where they have a concept that why to incarcerate a person. It's not necessary that everybody should go to jail. And here also the fact is that statistically that when a person tends to go into jail and spend a good amount of time there, somehow he tends to come, because of company around there, he tends to come in contact with other criminals, and then the correctional aspect is not happening. The correctional aspect is not that, nowadays we call prisons as correctional services. So, but it's correctional hospital not coming in. So that's why the concept is there. Why should we? Actually, they should be given a chance. First offender, petty offenders can be geofence, they call geofencing, with a collar, GPS collar. Here we do not have it as of now in India. But there is an effort of bringing it in. There is something called as Bureau of Police Research and Development, BPR&D, which is actively pursuing this aspect, whether because judiciary has to be on board for this. So, otherwise we cannot do it on our own. So, if legislative change has to be brought in judiciary, so what happens that you put less pressure on jails, you make a person, you monitor a person, but still not make him sort of go through demeaning process of going to jail and all that. But the process is still to come in. But it is on. I think it will come in 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
Sir.
Hi, Mr. Jiwal. Hi. You've got 2 questions on this. Sorry.
Sir, this is RK Swamy here. The culprits and the criminals have a better knowledge or idea about technology than our police force. We talk about the digital arrest now, which is a hot topic which was discussed in the DGP's meeting held, chaired by the Prime Minister. They're targeting the common people in the form of digital arrest and swindling money from the bank accounts. And also I've seen many poor people are lost the money in ATM scam, credit card scams, and there seems to be no end to this kind of scams which is happening. And we are the ultimate, of course, the police are taking swift action, closing the bank account. I mean, we are appreciative of the great job done by the police. But anyway, there's any way to stop this kind of harassment. For example, a retired guy of 70 or 80, if you lose the money, he lost his entire savings. There's no way he can get back the money where the bank says get an FIR. And how difficult to get a CSR in the police stations with these kind of digital arrests, because the cops themselves, they not be aware. I mean, of course, we have cybercrime. They not be aware of how the kind of magnitude of the situation in which we are caught. Of course, the technology is a double-edged sword. So I know Tamil Nadu police is doing a wonderful job, but anything to be taken care of by the public in terms of advice, we should discuss at the DGP meet held last week, so that the people can be aware. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, so
similar to that, there is this, every day I receive a call from TRI, Forensic, your own police department, Customs. Every day morning we are receiving it. We have a phone number from which we are receiving it. But we don't have an encouraging situation where we can immediately inform this phone number to the police department, where they will act immediately upon it and build up an offensive towards these culprits. That is one. And then secondly, only if we have a feel that only if Vishwanathan Anand's father-in-law loses money, the police goes and catches the culprit, or it has to be more than 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs. If it is 1,000 or 2,000, they'll say, just, sir, leave it, sir. We have 1,000 cases piled up like this. This is how the local cop will address you when we go to the station.
Yeah, we prioritize our work.
Vishwanath Anand is more important.
But still, a crime is a crime and should be attended to, no doubt. So, one thing I will first of all address the part of these things. For whom things are at stake. So, crime is not new. Like if the Mahabharata or whatever you read, Ramayana or whatever, there are offense of kidnapping, offense of different things. Today's law-wise there. Bible also, if you read, whatever you read. So crime is part of society, and that crime was done by somebody for whom the stakes were higher. Now the digital crime also is there, where a lot of money is being made by this criminals. Where earlier, we had something in police parlance called as modus operandi. So we had a modus operandi bureau also, because we thought if a criminal is doing crime, because 20 years back, a crime basically meant a property crime. If it is not bodily offense, property crime means somebody is pickpocket, or he is burglary by the night, breaking in the house in the night, or robbery or dacoity. We even have this codes like 1R was for robbery, 1D for dacoity, like this kind of things were there. Now entire things have changed. That person who is doing crime need not be available at scene. He need not undergo a training, because if you want to pick a pocket, you need undergo training. If you want to do a burglary by night, you should know which part of the dark phase of the moon you should pick up. How do you first do surveillance in daytime? Which houses are empty, or how do you break a lock and all that? So now the entire scene has changed. And the thing which is there, so-called digital. You asked about the preventing aspect, and you asked about the number which address both these issues. Is not so much about the technology and the digital part of it. It's all social engineering. 99% of the offenses are social engineering offenses. They are tricking you into sharing your data with them. That is how it is happening. Take any of these cases. There are less than 1% of cybercrime today which are real crime, which may be a network, we may need network forensics, which may be data alteration, which may be intruding into a system. That kind of thing is not happening. It's still happening, but their stakes are very, very high. Mostly they are state actors or non-state actors of some repute, which we'll never know also. Most of this day-to-day crime which are happening of digital arrest, all this is just social engineering. So the way out of this is that the police may or anybody can keep educating whatever until the people start with the simple principle of not sharing their credentials. That is the only thing left out. It's a very simple thing that why should you share your credentials of any sort with anybody? Simple and most simple thing is, if you ask me, I will simply say that sharing of a OTP, sharing of account, any call coming where it is asking for credentials. If you just don't do any of these, mostly you won't be scammed. But the profiling of all this is like that. And it's very unfortunate that we are losing on every day basis crores to these scamsters, crores. So there, however, we do have certain systems come up now. Like just now we were talking and we were privy to a talk by Mr. Ramesh Narayan, where he was talking about a person who tried to con him off, and then the moment they called 1930, there the databasing is there at 1930. So you can call 1930 in any, and you have to call it immediately. Because the way the offenses happen is that they use mule accounts and mule SIM cards. So these mule accounts basically means their KYC will not lead anywhere. And they layer the money within about an hour or two. Like if they have made you deposit 1 crore from your account to their account, and within about 1 hour, that money will be distributed into 10 accounts, and those 10 accounts are further 100 accounts in 1 or 2 hours. The way we work is that we ask the first bank, give us details. By the time the first bank gives and then 100 bank gives, it may be 2 or 3 days. Money is gone. So immediately call 1930 because they will know that this number is, they'll block it. They will do the first freezing of the accounts. So all the bank's nodal agents are there with the 1930 control room, and they immediately freeze the channel money. This is how we go about it. 1930 is the only way out as of now. But what you said, social engineering part, if we don't do these three, mostly we can do away with the scamming part. So I will take one more question because I said 15 minutes. I don't want to hold you more. Yeah, please. I couldn't get you. Oh, okay, same thing. No.
Calling daily, it's coming from IST calls, plus 88 or some numbers, not from local numbers. It is coming regularly, it is not weekly once, twice like that is coming. What's your call on that?
No, what you're saying that there are calls coming, IST calls.
Yeah.
Yeah, for scamming, same thing I think.
See, for
So this digital, so what is the question basically?
Call. I get a ISD call because I get some ISD call outside, so I cut the call and I was taking that. And sometimes they call, your parcel has come, you tell this, then that it has come in the thing. Then he was telling once, he has put the logo as police. Then the call came from somebody. It is from Delhi police, we are calling you.
Oh, Delhi police.
I'll put you to the connection to the customs people. You talk to them. Are you free? After 1 hour, I'll put you to them, telling. Complaint. Same number. he was putting as a Delhi police logo. After some time, it was some normal number and it's not taking the number.
That's what I'm saying, that yes, they will use this call spoofers, spoofing numbers, and this is a very known modus operandi, and those three things if you follow, no, like don't share your credentials and all that, no. See, if any agency has to prosecute for anything, let them come, you call them back, you ask for their number. One thing which many people, numbers have to report to 1930. Many people believe that, okay, if the number is right, then what? So there is something called a spoofing number, call spoofing also. So by technology, I can put your number as a caller number. So when a person receives a call, he may see a number, that number. In that case, you can always say that I'll call back. Because call back will go to original only. This will not go to beg this fellow. Generally, otherwise you're right, they are calling from this 9 to Pakistan or whatever the numbers, ISD numbers. But when you call spoofing also, call spoofing can be like, for example, let us say DGP's office. So we have a trunking system where a PRI line works, which is 30 lines. So it is a common line and then from there people call and do transactions. If you call the number back, it will land in control room. And if you ask them, this is police control, they'll say yes. If somebody called me, they will not know because many people use that. Then you'll believe that maybe this is true call then. So don't believe that because call spoofing sometimes can have this also. Point is simple that don't share credentials, especially OTP and all that. And they will ask, they may have lot of details because you must understand that unfortunately by open source intelligence and sometimes leakage of data, people have a lot of information. They have information about your bank account number, last 4 digits they may have, which place you have. They may even know that you may have spent a card somewhere in a mall. They will know that this is where you have last spent some amount of money. And courier agencies also, because they outsource, they may know that you have sent a courier from here to there. So these scamsters may have access to information which may make you feel as if there's a genuine guy behind it. But I'll simply say that just tell them that we'll call you back. And then most probably report to the local police station or 1930. Otherwise, I have seen one particular case of so-called digital arrest where a person has lost 6.8 crore over about 3 or 4 days. Well, friends, I do not know how much I talked about technology, but I think true to the spirit of advertising, that to change or mold as situation may be, I thought I addressed whatever was today's thing and maybe could engage you as well. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to be here. I appreciate and thank the organizers for that. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Maybe Mr. Swami, you can take 1 or 2 questions. Yeah, we've got over
Let
800
me
viewers
ask
watching it
the
online.
first question.
Written
I
slip.
have the mic here. Let me ask the first question.
Yeah, only slip.
Question goes to Justice Balaji. I was asking him in private here, and I'm going to put that question publicly. Who are the legal heirs in the family? And is there any specified ratio that the will, which there's no will, there is a specific ratio in which the money is distributed? All religions, Christianity, Muslims, Hindus.
As far as Hindus are concerned, we have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4 legal heirs. The class 1 legal heirs are preferred heirs. Starts with the mother, then the wife or the husband, children. Suppose son is no more, son has a widow, grandchildren through the son, they are all class 1 legal heirs. So all the class 1 legal heirs will collectively take the property in the event of an intestate demise. Suppose the person does not write a will. Then it's the case of an intestate demise where all the legal heirs in class 1 will take equally, be it the mother, the wife or the grandchildren or the son or daughter. They will take it by 4 or by 6 or by 8. Suppose there are no class 1 legal heirs. Then we move on to class 2 legal heirs. Class 2 legal heirs, the first class 2 legal heir is the father. Father is not a class 1 legal heir under Hindu law. Many of you may not know. Class 2 legal heir, the first heir branch is the father. then brothers, sisters, brothers, children, sisters, children, and so on. So there are about 10 categories in class 2. Then it moves on to very rarely it goes beyond class 2. So invariably the estate gets fixed within class 1 or class 2. For Christians, the surviving spouse takes 1/3. The balance goes to the lineal descendants who are the children. Very simple. The husband dies, wife gets 1/3, 2/3 shared by the children. How many ever so? So 4 children take 2/3. 2 children take 2/3. Muslim law is very complicated. It is customary. Shia and Sunni, they have their own customary laws. Invariably, the spouse gets only 1/8. Mother gets about 1/8. Your uncles get more share than the wife and the mother. So that concept, it will depend on the various sects and what they follow. So as far as Hindus and Christians, very pretty clear. Other question.
Okay, I have hi. This goes for Mr. Jiwal and Justice Balaji as well. Firstly, I want to congratulate you in the opening. This is not to do with intelligence and technology, but the fact that you acknowledge that artificial intelligence, the words are autonomous. They're self-contradictory. Unfortunately, today's generation seems to be banking hugely on artificial intelligence because human intelligence, unfortunately, seems to be eroding every single day. And the question that I'm arriving at is that because of this artificial intelligence to a great extent, perception is reality. And when it comes to our judicial system and the police itself, I've had some great experiences with senior IPS officers in the north of the country who've been very helpful at various stages of our entrepreneurial journey. But the way it is portrayed in media or on the bigger screen to a great extent, and not only living it to Bombay, but even if you look at South cinema, do you think there's a need for more content like 12th Fail, if you've seen it, right, which portrays the judiciary and the IPS in a very positive light? But unfortunately, a majority of it is on the negative side. So do you think, being part of the system, there could be more active efforts towards, for want of a better term, towards lobbying with people who can influence young minds to come out with more content which is more positive about our systems, about our judiciary, about our cops, about everything, right? So that's a comment and a question as well. Though it is not your jurisdiction, but some kind of an effort that you're here for a good day, for a good cause today, maybe you could make a change on that side as well.
Yeah, that's right. So this artificial intelligence, as we apply it, is basically, you have to have the neural networks built on their own for real artificial intelligence, so-called AI, to happen. But 99% of so-called AI is generally machine learning or deep machine learning. Beyond it, it's not much. So yes, but in certain aspects, there are where you have to be, it's like you have to spend money and you have to be also keep pruning it. The neural networks being built is happening. That is not much happening in the field of these, like what we encounter as challenges are deep fakes, for example, using so-called AI, etc. However, the point which you presented is very much we are aware of. In MIT, that is part of the IT department, the union government level, they have something called I4C, that is the Integrated Command for Cyber Crimes type of thing. They are very much alive and active to the entire issue. For example, a citizen on your own, for example, today, you can block your own mobile if it is lost. Nobody knows this, but this is CEIR facility is given to citizens. The problem is of the lack of education. If you want to know that whether using your credentials somebody has also bought a SIM card, so there is a facility for you to verify that for all citizens. So there are a lot of facilities there which we do give press releases once in a while, but somehow they get lost in the noise. Otherwise, they are doing great effort. One of the efforts which you're talking about is cyber volunteers. They invite applications from citizens, especially the younger population, and vet those and then make them cyber volunteers under specific state purview. Like here we have now another vertical which has just started, cyber crime wing. We have a very senior officer heading it. and it is taking care of the policy matter and driving all that. So if cyber volunteers, so far in Tamil Nadu, about 4,000 have applied, and after waiting, 1,600 been approved. These people will be then used and also asked whether they want to create contents. If so, they will be funded also and all that, or maybe small groups will be made amongst them. They'll be also asked if they are volunteered to be the messengers or the ambassadors of this awareness on cybercrime. So this is that action is afoot, but thing is that it's not gone. So we have requested the government of Tamil Nadu, and Honorable Chief Minister has sanctioned 2 crore rupees for awareness campaign for cybercrime and these things. So maybe in coming days there will be some buzz. We'll try to create some buzz on this so that there's more awareness. Thank you.
Sir, to Justice Balaji, sir, we in the world of media, advertising and marketing, we are grappling with the digital transformation, and every day we are running behind, chasing the new technology to learn and exploit it in our practices. So it has resulted in creation of AI news anchor or AI chatbots, AI sales executives like this. But judiciary is having a deep issue of the pending cases, which is in millions, and that too at the civil courts, it is very huge. Do you foresee our Indian judiciary utilizing AI, where through machine learning, we will upload all this civil procedure code and the case laws, precedents, all that can be loaded at the junior level to disseminate, instead of involving human magistrates, can we foresee a day where AI magistrate will disseminate the lower level cases?
AI can never replace judges, sir, because it requires the human element and the heart. In fact, I recently spoke in a function also. Suppose take a case of a child custody. The human values are more important. You cannot infuse human value into artificial intelligence. So ultimately, it is the mind and the brain which can take a proper decision in the given facts. The Supreme Court has started using AI, as you said, for bringing together common cases, which are related cases, so that you can reduce the backlog. And it is slowly trickling down to the high courts, and it will also go down to the lowest district magistrate courts as well. So at the stage of administration, yes, but not for deciding cases. I have one interesting question regarding testamentary capacity. It's a very actually good question. Question is whether, considering the longevity, whether 80 and 90 years can still be testamentary capacity. Yes, it's a very good question because... There is no, as I said, there is no bar. You have to be a major. Even at the age of 99, you can write a will. The only condition is your mind must follow your pen. You must know what you are doing. That is why the witness's role is very crucial. They must tell the court, tell the judge that yes, this man was 99 years old. He was sitting in his office chair. He read the will. He knew what he was doing. So therefore, age is not a bar. Testamentary capacity will have to be proved. That is very basic ingredient. Yes, we do, sir. In fact, when I was practicing, a lady was about 87 years old, when I was as an advocate. So she wanted to write a will. She was in Apollo Hospital. So I suggested, let the witnesses be the doctors. And we examined the doctor. We were able to succeed. One more option is video record the will. So there were minimum chances of suspecting such wills. But now today with technology, even video can be faked. So, but at least easily. So it is one way of ensuring that there is genuineness to the entire execution of a will.
Thank you. The topic is such you can go on discussing so many things. I think, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for the dignitaries. Jiwal and Justice Balaji for the excellent evening. I now request Mr. Mali to please come on to the stage to present a memento. Yeah. Can you please? Thanks. Thank you, gentlemen. Now it's my privilege to request Mr. Balasubramaniam, President of AD Club, deliver the formal vote of thanks. Mr. Bala, please. Gentlemen, just a moment more. I know you're all in a hurry to go back home before the rain.
Good evening, everyone. Vanakkam. So, on behalf of MMA and Advertising Club Madras, it's my privilege to extend heartfelt thank you to you, each and every one of you. A special thanks to Mr. Ramesh Narayan for his heartfelt recollection of Sri R K Swamy, especially early part of RK Swami agency and his career, with kindness and discipline. Your insights truly brought us legacy of life. Our gratitude to Hon'ble Justice P.B. Balaji sir. Will is an underestimated or an underrated topic in our country, in a country like India. Here he explained the simplest form of will, giving direction for the successors and practical insight on settlement and nomination. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Shankar Jiwal, ISP Director, General of Police, Tamil Nadu, clarifying the audience with the problem with the aid of technology through creativity. Thank you. I am sure everybody might have experienced two creative approach by Chennai Police that we recently experienced in Chennai is the spread of love across the city and the benefit of following zero. A heartfelt thanks to Mr. Sri R K Swamy for making this an annual program with inspiring speakers and invariable learning. Also thank Mr. Lakshmi Narayanan, Senior Vice President MMA, for his warm welcome address, and the EC member of MMA and the Advertising Club Madras for their unwavering dedication. A special shout out to Group Captain Mr. Vijay Kumar and the MMA team for their excellent hospitality, and to the Hindu, our print media partner, for their continuous support. And special thanks to Mr. Navanit, CEO The Hindu, for extending their support through promotion in business line this year. Lastly, a big thank to each and every one of you for your presence tonight. Thank you all for making this evening truly memorable. Nandri.
Thank you, Mr. Bala, and may I all request to please raise for the national anthem, please.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधितरङ्गा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशिष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Get back home safely till we meet again. Bye bye. Good night.